Welcome to the StormchaserQ Show. I'm meteorologist Quincy Vagel, and today's question is from Andrea. It's a great question I think will impact a lot of people. How can you function as an adult, pay bills, and still go storm chasing? So this is a great topic. Most people who storm chase, the vast majority of people who storm chase, they do it as a hobby. It's not a career for them, it's not a full-time job, or they simply just don't make enough money to support themselves or their family through storm chasing. So how can you balance it? Well, we'll start with the premise that most people have jobs, and most people probably have a full-time job. If you don't have a full-time job, I'll get into different scenarios later on. But if you have a full-time job, let's say that you get vacation time, which most jobs do if you're full-time. Again, this will vary from company to company, but let's say on average you get between 2 to 3 weeks of vacation time per year. Assuming it's paid vacation time, you can still storm chase but have the ability to pay your bills and other responsibilities. So if you have vacation time, especially if you have a family, you probably won't want to take your entire time storm chasing. So let's say you can take between 1 to 2 weeks of storm chasing per year. Great, you have a block of time. When do you storm chase? Now, the best time to storm chase, and you'll hear a lot of people take something called a chasecation, which is a chase vacation. It's usually centered around late May. 1, it's near the peak of tornado season, but then 2, it's usually during a time of year where there's a lot of storm activity. Now, it will vary from year to year, but statistically, if you take off a block of time that's anywhere near or around late May, so from mid-May through early June, any block of time, there's a pretty good chance that you'll be able to storm chase the majority of the days in that span. If you take 10 days off, for example, I'd be willing to bet that in most years you'll be able to chase at least 6 or 7 days. If it was like 2019, you probably would have been able to chase nearly every single day. So once you have that, what about other responsibilities? You might have a family, kids, wife or husband, or boyfriend or girlfriend, pets at home. How can you balance that? Now, the most ideal scenario would be to have people who are willing enough to go storm chasing with you, because then you can cut costs, have that time together. But for most people, it's probably not realistic. So you'll have to consider, how can you leave your family and go on a road trip for a week? How can you get that to work? So that's more of a personal decision. I can't tell you how to do that, but it's something to definitely think about. So that's your block of time if you have a full-time job with vacation time. Now, what if you have a job where you work Monday through Friday and you really can't take vacation time, or you can't leave home for very long because you have family or young children at home or other responsibilities? What can you do? Well, in that scenario, I could say you could storm chase on weekends. Now, that's a little bit tough because 1, you have to assume that there are storms in the weekend, and then 2, during peak storm season on weekends, it's very busy. Almost everybody who likes to storm chase is out storm chasing, because some people just can't take off extended periods of time. So that's something you could do, but just consider that there will be a lot of people on the roads, a lot of people storm chasing, a lot of competition. But if you're okay with that, then great. Now, what about, let's say you work like a 9 to 5 job, or what if you work a day job? Now, if you're able to get off work early, or if you have the luxury of living right in the heart of Tornado Alley, you could get off work at 3 or 4 o'clock and then have several hours to storm chase. During storm season, storms tend to peak in the late afternoon to early evening. So if you get off work at 3, even if you have a 2 or 3 hour drive, you can catch most storms. In fact, most tornadoes happen shortly before sunset, like late afternoon into early evening as well. So that's one way you could balance that. And one scenario that I almost forgot to mention is, what if you don't live anywhere near Tornado Alley? Let's say you live on the West Coast or the East Coast. That's where it's really going to be the best scenario if you could take off a block of time from work to storm chase, because you'll either have to fly out to the plains, you'll need a travel day, or if you're driving, you might need 2 days to travel through car. So that's where it's going to be really important, I think, to have a group of people to storm chase with to split costs. If you're flying out somewhere and then renting a car rental is a big cost, and you still have to pay gas on top of that. So having a group, or maybe you know a storm chaser and you can kind of say, hey, would you be willing to have someone storm chase with you for a week or 2 in the plains during season? And I think people who are willing to do that, because both sides can benefit. You're both being able to split costs. So it's really about having connections, connect with the community, see who's willing to storm chase with you. And if you're not a member of Stormtrack, I highly recommend it. There's always messages, especially early in the spring, about people who are looking for chase partners. So find a chase partner, split costs. Even if you live in the plains, it's a great way to save money while storm chasing. I haven't really addressed the cost of storm chasing. So there's several costs that are involved. The biggest cost would be hotel stays if you're taking an extended period of time storm chasing, and even if you're only going on a weekend or for a day trip, there's still the cost of gas and the cost of food. How can you balance that? Well, the easiest way is to find a partner to storm chase with. I mean, that could be a boyfriend or girlfriend or a husband or wife in a perfect scenario, but otherwise maybe you know someone who storm chases, maybe you get to storm chase with them because then you can split costs. And really the best way is to storm chase with a group, because if you're splitting, let's say, a hotel room for 4, splitting it 4 ways versus paying for it by yourself will cut costs a lot. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about how to save money storm chasing. I think that will be a whole other topic. So if you want to hear me talk about storm chasing on a budget, for example, or how to cut costs while storm chasing, let me know. It's in the works, but if you really want me to do that, I could make that happen sooner than later. Now, let's say you work multiple jobs. You don't have a full-time job, you don't have vacation time, you have a really tough schedule. How can you still maintain the job, pay bills, and have the ability to go storm chasing? Well, if you're working multiple jobs, chances are you have some kind of availability where one job knows that you work certain days or certain times. So if you have this scenario and your work has at least some flexibility, you have 2 options in my opinion. You could try to work day shifts, like let's say you prefer to work before 4 p.m. And again, if you live in Tornado Alley, or if you live in the central United States, then you could still have time to storm chase after work. If that's not an option at all, I'd recommend taking blocks of time off. Now, if you can't take a full week off because you still want to be able to pay bills, maybe you can take a long weekend and then plan those between mid-May and early June to have the best odds of being able to storm chase during those periods. So those are my main recommendations on how you can storm chase, but I understand it's hard to balance your professional life with your family life and be able to storm chase and pay bills. It's not easy. Now, like I said before, most people don't make storm chasing a career, but if you want to make a few extra bucks while storm chasing, and some people do this, you could supplement your storm chasing with selling some storm footage. Now, it is very competitive, and not a lot of people make a lot of money doing it, but it could be enough to pay, let's say, for example, if you get a really good tornado video, you could sell that, and that could be enough to pay maybe your hotel stay for the night. Or maybe you take some great photos and you sell some photos. But again, it's very competitive, and if you're kind of new to it, you might be willing to charge less. Now, this could be a whole other video as well, and there's a debate topics on how much you should charge for storm chase footage. If you've never made money storm chasing, and let's say you have a tight budget, maybe you're willing to sell a video for 25 or 50 bucks, maybe a couple times just until you get a feel for it. Then after a while, maybe you can charge more money. But again, it's really tough. Even for me, I don't make a lot of money storm chasing. Even on my best storm chase days, I might barely be able to comp for a week. Most of the time when I storm chase, I actually lose money in the long run. But for me, it's a hobby. And again, it's all about sacrifices. Anything in life, any hobby comes with sacrifices. For example, if you play sports, you'll probably be away from your family or away from loved ones several hours a day practicing, playing games, working out. Or if you like to go fishing or hunting or camping, you go away from family for periods of time. Storm chasing is really similar. It's just being able to balance all those, and hopefully some of these tips will help you with that. I will be doing another video, like I said, something along the lines of like storm chasing on a budget, or how to save money while storm chasing, because it's really a big cost. And if you want to be able to storm chase and pay your bills, it's something you have to consider. So I appreciate you watching my video, and if you have any questions, any topics you want me to cover, or any specific questions that you want me to address, I'd be happy to do that. If you want to know where to get this shirt, I'll leave a comment or reply below, or in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, on where to find it. And then you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at StormchaserQ. And again, thanks to Andrea for the question. If you're interested at all in sports, she's a baseball fanatic. We'll talk about the Kansas City Royals and all things related to Kansas City. You can follow her. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.